This is the high bar squat. The difference is just the placement of the bar on your back. All right, so for the high bar, it's going to be placed right on top of your traps, this big upper neck muscle. All right, it's going to be below this bone that you can feel in the back of your neck, and we don't want it any higher because it's just going to crush your neck. So below this bone, but on top of the traps. When we're doing squats, you want to make sure it's at the right height for you, usually at the level of your clavicles. Okay? And I would suggest starting with just the bar. It's good to know how to squat with just the barbell, even if it feels light. That way you can get your balance down. The heavier you go, the more it's just going to force you into a better position. So, for setup, you're going to put your hands in between this neural section right here. For grip, some of you might not have the proper shoulder flexibility and you might need to start wider. If you do, start here and eventually try to work yourself into a slightly narrower grip. The closer your grip, the tighter you can keep your upper back and the easier it will be to support this weight on your back. Okay, so I like having a grip here, and I personally like doing a thumbs over grip and not a thumbs under. Reason being is when you do a thumbs under, or some people have this problem, let's say I have the bar on my back, they cock their wrist back and then they experience wrist pain because their wrists are cocked back. To prevent that, you're actually going to curl your wrist forward, and that's going to increase the tension on the upper back and just hold the bar a lot tighter. Think of it as like locking the bar onto your back. So we're here in our position, getting the bar directly on top of our traps. And from here, I'm going to cock the wrist forward, get nice and tight, and flare the elbows up and back. That's going to flex the traps. So for those who want to see that, I'm here. And then wrist forward, elbows up and back, and you can see the upper back get tight. For those of you who are doing this, you should have done some form of goblet squat or front-loading squat before using the barbell. The reason I say this is so that way you guys should know how to balance yourself on your feet. I know it sounds dumb, but most of the time when people get a bar on their back, they get all wobbly and don't know how to balance themselves, and they start squatting, and the toes come off the ground, and then the knees start hurting. We want to avoid all that. All right, so you should keep your feet always nice and grounded and weight evenly distributed. So I got my hand positioning, bar is here, stepping back, getting in my squat stance. I like a fairly narrow squat stance. Some of you might need wider. It's all on preference, and do what feels comfortable for you. From here, just like the deadlift, we're going to inhale, get nice and tight, squat down, and right back up. You can look up, you can look down, just focus on keeping nice and tight with the upper back, not rounding forward, and keeping the core nice and braced. So I'm here, tight core, squatting, and back up. When we squat, you should notice that the knees should travel in the same direction as the toes. So we don't want the knees coming in when we squat like this. If you're doing that, lighten the load and work on driving the knees outward. I don't always like giving the knees out cue because there was a time where I was doing that too much and it really messed up with my squat form. So take your time if you need to, just squat without any weight, just to look directly over your toes, see if the knees are going in the right direction, and try to mimic that with the actual squat. With the high bar squat, you'll notice that the torso is a bit more vertical for some people, and depending on the femur length, some people might squat with a more horizontal torso. Some of you might look like here, and some might look like here. And that's totally fine, it's just your individual build. So quick cues, hand positioning, get the bar on the traps, cock the wrist forward, upper back nice and tight, step back into your squat position, big inhale, brace the core, squat down, and back up. And then rack nicely. Last thing with the racking, Don't try to rack it and look for one side at a time. All right, this should be set at your height, so you should just be able to walk in, feel it hit there, and let go.